Reaching the summit of Mount Everest is the ultimate dream for many. Yet, the surprising truth is that the real danger begins only after reaching the top. The descent is akin to a path of death. Conquering Everest usually takes about 2 months, but in this video, we will let you experience the entire journey in just a few minutes, from base camp to the summit and the perilous descent that follows. While the journey sounds thrilling, every stage and location along the way has claimed human lives at some point. These are not mere stories. They involve real people and actual events. Most chilling of all, many who reached the summit never returned alive. Their skeletal remains still lie resting on the mountain's heights. So, let us explore where Everest's deadly traps lie hidden and why the highest number of fatalities occur during the descent, a phase where a single step could mark a person's final moment. The path you see now represents the complete route up Mount Everest, created using actual satellite imagery and real photographs taken by mountaineers. In other words, what is shown here is reality, not imagination. We will move quickly but pause at every key camp to clearly understand what these places look like and the events that unfolded there. For while Everest may appear serene and silent from afar, in reality, it is utterly ruthless, one of the most dangerous places on Earth. By the end of this journey, you will understand why the descent is the deadliest part of the climb. The expedition begins at Everest Base Camp, situated at an altitude of approximately 17,600 feet. This location might seem safe to many, though for comparison it is higher than most mountains in North America. Yet this is where the true challenge begins. Base Camp resembles a temporary city. Hundreds of tents, mountaineers from across the globe, and gear scattered all around. It is a place of constant activity, filled with noise, crowds, and a palpable sense of excitement. However, there is one crucial detail that many overlook. The entire base camp sits atop a moving glacier. The ground beneath your feet is not stationary but is slowly shifting. In some places, the ice cracks. In others, low, rumbling sounds emerge. While base camp might seem relatively safe, the risks are significant. For instance, following a massive earthquake in 2015, a huge avalanche struck the camp, claiming the lives of 19 people. Immediately beyond base camp lies the first major challenge, the Khumbu Icefall. It is one of the most perilous sections of the Everest climb, essentially a massive, slow-moving river of ice. However, it is far from smooth. It is rugged, unstable, and riddled with deep crevasses. Some of these chasms are so deep that their bottoms are invisible. The only way to navigate this treacherous terrain is by crossing the crevasses on narrow aluminum ladders. Often, several ladders are lashed together and stretched across these deep gaps, forming a precarious path you must walk across. It is here that the true dangers of Everest begin to reveal themselves. Now imagine traversing this terrifying route in the dark. Most climbers attempt to cross the Khumbu Icefall before sunrise, because the ice is relatively more stable at that time. You are tethered to a rope, wearing crampons that struggle to find a firm grip on the ice, surrounded by the muffled groans of the shifting glacier. Just consider the severity of the situation. The most daunting reality is that the ice is indifferent to your level of experience. In 2014, a massive block of ice, known as a serac, collapsed right here, killing 16 of the world's finest mountaineers. There was nothing they could do to avert the tragedy. Every year, a team known as the Icefall Doctors installs ropes and ladders to make the route passable, yet even they cannot predict exactly when the ice will shift or where it might collapse. Thus, if you manage to successfully cross this perilous icefall, you have conquered the first major test of the expedition. Then comes Camp 1. Situated at an altitude of approximately 20,000 feet, it lies directly on the glacier. The terrain is relatively flat, at least. It is not the sort of place where you feel you might tumble off, yet risks certainly abound. Crevasses and shifting ice lurk all around. It is also here that the effects of high altitude begin to take a toll on many climbers. Some realize they cannot go any further, while others push on regardless. There have been instances where people collapsed from sheer exhaustion or suddenly fell into a crevasse. While this area may not be as dramatic as the icefall, danger lurks silently here. Next comes the Western Siwawam, a vast bowl-shaped area enclosed by walls of ice and rock. This is the site of Camp 2, often referred to as Advanced Base Camp. At an altitude of approximately 21,000 feet, the air is much thinner. Breathing becomes difficult, and even simple tasks require immense effort. Your body barely clings to life like the flickering flame of a dim lamp. Looming directly above this camp is the Lhasa face, a massive, sheer wall of ice that looks terrifying even from below. Most fatalities here are not caused by falls or avalanches, but by invisible killers, such as altitude sickness, heart attacks, or extreme exhaustion. Many experienced mountaineers have decided to descend after feeling unwell here, only to lose their lives on the way down. There is the story of one climber who reached Camp 2 but suddenly developed chest pain. He decided to descend, but his journey ended before he could make it back. When climbing Everest, your own body will eventually tell you when it can go no further, and at that point, there is nothing you can do. Beyond Camp 2 lies an incredibly grueling route. Ahead, wait the Lhasa face, and Camp 3, situated at an altitude of nearly 24,000 feet. Camp 3 clings to the side of the Lhasa face. Tents are carved directly into the ice and positioned carefully so that you do not roll off while sleeping. The ascent to Camp 3 involves sections that are as steep as a vertical wall. You must constantly haul yourself up by gripping the fixed ropes. A single slip or a failure of your boots to find a secure hold carries the risk of a sheer drop. Many mountaineers have slipped here and fallen hundreds of feet. While some survived, most did not. Avalanches can strike here suddenly without any warning. If you happen to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, there is no escape. Thus, upon reaching Camp 3, you realize you have entered a unique otherworldly realm. Beyond this lies the death zone, an area above 26,000 feet where the body begins a slow process of dying. Then comes Camp 4, known as the South Col, a relatively flat expanse situated between Everest and Lhotse at an altitude of nearly 26,000 feet. There is hardly any snow here. The terrain consists of rock, ice, and the tattered remains of tents from previous expeditions. The winds can howl with such ferocity that simply standing upright becomes a struggle. Temperatures can plummet to minus 40 degrees Celsius or lower. This serves as the final camp before the summit push. Most mountaineers rest here for a few hours, check their oxygen supplies, and wait for the opportune moment to proceed. Yet, many are unable to move any further. Some experience oxygen system failures, others are caught in sudden storms, or become so utterly exhausted that they lack the strength to continue. An American climber, Francis Arsentieff, did reach the summit but ran out of oxygen during the descent. She was forced to spend the night in the death zone and did not survive. It is at Camp 4 that the harsh reality truly sets in for many. The return journey from this point is the most arduous and perilous. Nevertheless, the final leg of the ascent, the push toward the summit, begins at the South Col. Surprisingly, the highest number of fatalities occurs precisely in this section. The journey from Camp 4 usually commences around midnight. Surrounded by darkness, climbers inch forward, guided only by the beams of their headlamps. Ahead lie the balcony, the south summit, and the Hillary Step. Finally, you reach the highest point on Earth at an altitude of approximately 29,032 feet. Yet, the moment of triumph can quickly be overshadowed by tragedy during the descent. Oxygen supplies run out, bodies succumb to exhaustion, and the cold becomes lethal. Furthermore, falls from the summit area are all too common. The path is incredibly narrow, flanked on both sides by ravines plunging thousands of feet deep. A single misstep spells the end. There have been instances where climbers reached the summit and took photographs, only to never return home. The question remains, will you make it back alive? After all, most fatalities occur during the descent from Everest. By then, you are utterly exhausted. Your oxygen is nearly depleted, and your mind is no longer functioning clearly. Every step feels more arduous than the last. At such altitudes, your body begins to shut down, and your coordination falters. Should a sudden storm strike or your oxygen run out, no one can come to your rescue. Perhaps the harshest reality is that if someone perishes at such a height, their family cannot even see them one last time. Bringing a body down from there is virtually impossible. They are destined to lie forever amidst the ice. Since 1922, at least 344 daring adventurers have lost their lives in this Himalayan realm of death. On those treacherous mountain peaks, where even oxygen fails to sustain life, the motionless bodies of over 200 people still lie at rest. Some are blanketed in snow, while others have been reduced to skeletons, merging with the mountainside. Driven by the obsession to reach the world's highest summit, they ventured forth but never returned. The eternal silence of Everest stands as a testament to those unfulfilled dreams and acts of daring. If you have watched the video this far, you realize that this is not merely a mountain, it is a brutal test of endurance. Please share your thoughts in the comment box. If you enjoyed today's video, do hit the like button and consider subscribing to the channel. See you in the next episode. Thank you.